Hey, how you doing? My name is Ryan, and today I'm getting ready for Spider-Man Far From Home. So a couple of videos ago, I bought, reviewed, and upgraded some cheap Marvel props off of eBay, Amazon, and Etsy. So the next step had to be costumes. I found this Spider-Man bodysuit based on his costume in Homecoming. Now, bodysuits or morph suits like this can cost up to $50, $80, or $200 for a really good one. I found this for $20 on eBay, so the bar is pretty low. But if it's good enough, and with a couple of tweaks here and there, I might wear this to the movie theater. So, let's see what we got. Alright, it's in a sealed Ziploc-like bag. You know what, it doesn't look too bad. I got a kid's extra large because I'm short, about 5'4" in height, so yeah, kids XL. Oh, wow, okay. Looks like the mask is a separate piece from the bodysuit. That's actually pretty nice. And there even is a different texture of black around the eyes. That's quite nice. Okay. You know what? This ain't too bad. Now, it's definitely noticeable that everything is one texture. It's the same spandex. It's not like the blue is a different texture than the red, nor is the black spider emblem. The belt's sewn in, the web shooters are sewn in as well. But this whole thing looks pretty good so far. I'm actually quite impressed. For $20, most morph suits cost anywhere from 40 to 50 bucks. So a licensed one only costing 20? That's not bad. Let's see how the mask looks. Well, the good news is I can still see out of this. This doesn't feel too bad at all. It feels quite comfortable. Alright, moment of truth. Let's try on the whole suit. So overall, I gotta say, I'm actually pretty impressed. Now, the mask actually is not allowed in the movie theater, but the costume is, so that's a plus. Ow. Alright, on a scale from 1 to Jesus, how goofy do I look? Yeah, the mask is a separate piece, so it won't actually adhere to anyone on the neckline. Yeah, that looks really goofy. It's a fine mask by itself, but I think I look better without the mask. So this costume costs $20, as I said before. I think valiant effort, but I think it can be improved upon for very cheaply. So I have two potential ways to improve this costume. Both are rather inexpensive, but one is super dirt cheap, so we'll start with that one. I bought some $1 black Puffy paint at Walmart, and I'm going to use it to give these black stripes, and especially the spider logo on the front and back, some three-dimensionality. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm not sure if this is going to work entirely well, but then again, even if I mess up this costume royally, I only spent 20 bucks on it, so it's not much of a loss. And that is the best part about these cheap Marvel things. I'll give that a few hours to dry. Hope it works. So I let the costume dry for all night, and I think it turned out okay. However, on the downside, my cat Mimu ripped a hole into it. Right.
Lindsay fixed it.
Right there, so I actually had to patch it up.
Did Lindsay fix
So I'm gonna wear an undershirt.
And Lindsay fixed it.
So this puffy paint, it said 4 hours to dry, but yeah, it took a lot more than 4 hours.
Well, because more than likely you used a lot more of it than people would use in one slot.
Yeah, I actually scraped off quite a bit, but it got the desired effect that just a different texture on the costume, which is what I wanted. And I also have one more trick up my sleeve. So Lindsay, there's one thing that you didn't test out. Whether or not the puffy paint's gonna stretch when I put the costume on.
The whole thing just falls off.
It might. Okay, this is moment of truth time.
And if it does, you'll wear your other Spider-Man suit, and we'll try this another time. Oh my gosh! Just kidding. It looks fine.
Okay, cool.
You still have that mark on your tummy where Mimu got you. Where she got the paint.
That's okay. It's a little damage mark.
Turn around. We have to film everything!
So here's my last little surprise. I bought these $6 Spider-Man web shooters on eBay. Now, they're just rubber, so when they came in the mail, they were all flippity-floppity. They didn't have shape to them. So I just actually took a piece of Lego and just taped it to the back.
Of course you did.
And this is just gonna give this costume one more texture to work with.
This is my reaction to your costume.
Look! I'm Spider-Man, Spider-Man, na-na-na, na-na-na-na, I'm Spider-Man, na-na-na. To the movies we go! Wow!
You have to be in front of me. He's the real one, too. A kid just thought you were actually Spider-Man, right? The kid thought he was actually Spider-Man.
He's not wrong. Alright, we'll see you after the movie. Just got out of the movie. I think we're pretty happy with it so far. I quite liked it.
So far. You watched the whole thing.
Just got out of the movie. We really liked it.
No, you're leaving that in there. Don't even...
The costume held up very well.
You better leave that in there or I'm going to release it on my channel.
Alright, finally found some time to sit down, talk about this movie. I changed out of the costume because I was getting pretty hot and sweaty, and I'm not sure how much longer I would have lasted in that Spider-Man suit, but it held up incredibly well. So, let's talk about Spider-Man Far From Home. So I'm not sure how much I can say about this movie without spoiling it, so good movie, great characterization, definitely see it. On to spoilers. This film has the most quintessential Peter Parker I've ever seen on film, and it's for a couple of reasons. One, his main struggle in the movie is, I want to be Peter Parker, but I need to be Spider-Man. That's a theme that's so core to the character, and I'm glad we got it in such a visceral sense. He wanted to be Peter Parker on the trip and win over Mary Jane, but he needed to be Spider-Man to help Nick Fury out. Great job with that. 2, and the part that made me smile the most, Peter Parker defeats the villain not through blunt force, but through ingenuity, tinkering, and spider sense. So, in a lot of the earlier Spider-Man comics, it's kind of a formula. Peter Parker's living a fun life as Spider-Man, encounters a villain for the first time, gets his ass handed to him by some new sort of technology or new gadget or gizmo that he's never encountered before. He has to go back to his lab, tinker with his web shooters, find a way to immobilize the villain. In the second fight, he wins, captures the villain, and the villain goes to jail. That's a lot of early Spider-Man, and that's exactly what we got in this movie. Peter Parker fights Mysterio once, gets his ass handed to him. He can't keep up with the illusions. He can't tell what's real and what's fake. He goes back to his ship with Happy. He tinkers with web shooters, gives himself electronic webs, defeats all the drones that way, and beats Mysterio with spider sense, or as this movie calls it, Peter Tingle, which I think is a really fun joke. I think Tom Holland does another great job as Spider-Man, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of the reasons they killed him off in Infinity War is because they didn't want him to grow 5 years and be out of high school. Because high school Peter Parker is kind of the best Peter Parker in my opinion, so I think they want to keep him in that environment for as long as possible. On to Mysterio. This is a character concept that was so well developed and so well conceived within the confines of the MCU, it kind of astounds me. Quentin Beck in the comics is a Hollywood visual effects artist, which in nowadays makes no sense with smoke and mirrors and illusions, but to have him be an ex-Stark employee using augmented reality drones and holograms to create his illusions is a genius idea. Having him wear a motion capture suit as his real-life Mysterio costume and guide the movements of the fishbowl Mysterio is even more genius. Having him have a bunch of ex-Stark employee lackeys that are doing his bidding and actually have one of them prepare the real Mysterio suit for public appearances because Mysterio is so vain is inspired. That's how you make a good villain. You give him a twist, you can do a reveal halfway through the movie as, surprise, I'm the villain, and you still give him time to do villainy things. That is how you do a villain. And this movie gets how to do a Spider-Man villain absolutely correct. Quentin Beck knows if he goes up against Spider-Man hand-to-hand, he's going to lose, and he's going to lose fast. So he tries to use his tech to keep Spider-Man at a distance and beat him psychologically. That's very much in character with Mysterio. And those vision sequences, those were inspired visually, and they were kind of creepy and haunting. I'm surprised they went that far with it. But Spider-Man uses his spider sense to detect what's real and what's fake, and wins the day. And also, as a side note here, I turned to Lindsay about halfway through the movie when it was revealed that Quentin Beck was an ex-Stark employee that actually created the Barf technology, the augmented reality glasses. And I asked her, so is a new thing now Tony Stark is responsible for every Spider-Man villain? Because if that's the case, I kind of like that choice. The Vulture is a result of Tony Stark buying out the contractors that cleaned up the aftermath of the Avengers, and now, after firing Quentin Beck, he created that vendetta within him to become Mysterio and use his own holographic technology against him and his protege. If the Sinister Six is actually a result of ex-Stark employees that use tech, cool. I'm okay with that. That's a really kind of fun idea. And Jake Gyllenhaal is a fun choice. I really, really hope he's not dead, and I hope him uploading the video to the Daily Bugle, I'll get to that, don't worry, is kind of an indication that he might come back. I really hope he comes back. And it gets me thinking about, alright, how many other MCU tech pieces can be reincorporated as Spider-Man villains? How about that face mask, that sort of like mesh mask that Black Widow used in Winter Soldier? There's your chameleon. Although, I don't think they're going to go that direction. I mean, Sony, if you want to, go ahead. There's your idea, there's your pitch for the chameleon. But I'm not sure if they're going to go the full route of shapeshifter villain for a reason that the post-credits. But before I get to the post-credits, how about the mid-credits scene? A lot of things happened here. One, MJ and Spider-Man are finally a couple. Yes, go for it. Zendaya and Tom Holland have great chemistry, and I'm so glad that they didn't do a will they won't they for more than a couple of movies. Two, Quentin Beck had one last trick up his sleeve, and it was, believe it or not, using the media against Spider-Man, which is another quintessential element of Spider-Man comics, and they went full on out by having the Daily Bugle with J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, deliver the news report that Spider-Man's a menace, and I could not stop smiling for so many reasons. One being Sony, good on you for having the guts to know that you cannot cast a better person than J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Good on you for recognizing that, and good on you for putting whatever amount of money you needed to in front of his house to make him come back for that cameo. And two, if they're going full-on Daily Bugle, Peter Parker has to work for the company to build up his identity and build up his reputation again, sure, why not? But also, oh my god, they revealed his identity to the entire world. A lot of the MCU heroes don't have secret identities. They're just kind of public figures. Everybody knows that Steve Rogers is Captain America. Everybody knows Tony Stark's Iron Man. Spider-Man was one of the few heroes that actually wanted to keep his identity a secret because he knew he had a lot of people to protect. But not anymore. And I'm really curious where they're going to go from here. Because, you know, I don't want MJ or Aunt May to be kidnapped because we've seen that a dozen times. So I really hope Marvel and Sony have a creative take as to why they revealed his identity. Now, the post-credit scene. This is probably my only real negative in the movie, and it's not even the scene itself, it's kind of the implications for it. It's revealed the entire movie that Nick Fury was not actually Nick Fury, it was the Skrulls, it was Talos, played by Ben Mendelsohn again. First of all, yay, more Ben Mendelsohn is always a good thing, but also, it really lives up to Nick Fury's reputation as the spy. As Tony Stark said, his secrets have secrets, and this is just one that, of course, if Nick Fury was gone for 5 years, came back and didn't know crap about what happened to the world in the past 5 years, he's gonna want, one, time to regain intelligence, but two, he's gonna want somebody on the ground being him while he's up in space. In space, I think we're getting Sword being Nick Fury. Obviously, the more Nick Furies he can have, the better, and I think the Skrulls accomplish that. But here's where the film loses me a little bit. And it's not even the movie, it's kind of, again, this is me thinking long-term here, because I know that's what Marvel's good at. You introduce the Skrulls as shapeshifters. One of the main Skrull storylines is Secret Invasion. However, they kind of made the Skrulls either refugees in Captain Marvel, or now honorary S.H.I.E.L.D. agents in Spider-Man Far From Home. So I don't think there's enough villainy to go around in the Skrulls to have them actually pull off Secret Invasion. So I'd be curious as to what they do with that. But within the confines of Spider-Man Far From Home, I love Spider-Man. I was really happy with Mysterio and his backstory and his creation and his mentality and view of the world and how he acted in the film and how he tried to best Spider-Man. And I love Nick Fury always having one more trick up his sleeve. This movie is great and a really good way to both end Phase 3 and lead into Phase 4. And from my perspective, a great cheap costume to tie it all together. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.